There is a moment that happens after you lose a job that most of us are not prepared for. And it's not the moment you get the news, and it's not the first day without having somewhere to be. It's the moment someone asks you what you do, and you open your mouth and nothing comes out. And that's not because you forgot your experience, but because for a split second, you genuinely did not know how to answer. That moment is not a crisis, it's a signal. And most people miss it entirely because they are too busy updating their resume to notice. When you lose a job, something happens. Something happens around you. The noise gets loud, fast. Your phone starts ringing, your inbox fills up, your LinkedIn notifications go through the roof, and everyone around you, your family, your friends, your former colleagues, they all have the same advice. Update your resume, refresh your profile, network, stay visible, stay positive, get a plan together, and move fast. And you do, because doing something feels better than sitting with the uncertainty. Because movement feels like progress, right? Because building a plan feels responsible, right? But I know that underneath all of that movement, something else is happening. Something much slower, and something probably you cannot name yet. That is your voice, the one that used to tell you what mattered to you, what you wanted, what felt right versus what looked right on paper. That voice has gone quiet. And no one is telling you to find it before you do anything else. But before we even get to the voice, we need to talk about something that is far less talked about. Identity. Think about the last time someone asked you what you do. What did you say? You named your title or your company or your industry, because for most of us, that is how we have learned to answer the question of who we are. We do not just work at a company, we become it. The title is not just a job description, it is part of how we see ourselves. It is how the other people see us. It is part of the story we tell about our own worth and our place in the world. And then one day it's gone, and no one talks about what that actually feels like. It feels like loss, real loss, the kind that sits heavy in your chest in the morning before you even open your eyes, right? It's the kind where you kind of walk into a room and feel like a different person. Split second, you don't know what to say, not because you forgot your resume, but because part of your identity is attached to a role that just disappeared. It almost feels like part of you died. And the world keeps moving. The advice keeps coming. Update your resume, get a plan. And you are standing there thinking, nobody sees what just happened to me. No one is naming this. No one is giving me space to grieve this before they tell me what to do next. That grief is real and it deserves to be named. The less talked about truth about identity loss is this. Your voice was there before that title ever existed. It was there before the company gave you a role and a salary and a desk with your name on it. It built you into the person who earned that title in the first place. Your role did not create your voice. It just got so loud, it drowned it out. And now that role is gone, and your voice is still there, waiting. You may have forgotten what it sounds like. You may have heard it, not have heard it in so long, you don't trust it anymore, but it has not left you. And that is what this work is about, not replacing the identity that was lost, returning to the one that was always yours. Now, I have worked with professionals at every level, leaders with impressive titles, long track records, people who built entire careers by following the right steps and checking the right boxes. And I have seen the same thing over and over again. They move fast after loss. They land something and then 12, 14, 18 months later, they're frustrated, they're confused, wondering why the new role does not feel right. And then ask them one question, the room changes. And the question is this: before you took that role, did you know what you actually wanted? Not what made sense, not what looked good, what you actually wanted. Most of them can't answer it, not because they are not intelligent, but because they never stop long enough to ask themselves that question. You cannot plan your way out of something you have not yet processed. You cannot plan your way out of something you have not processed. The resume is important, yes. The network matters. The plan has its place, yes. But all of those tools only work when they are pointed in the right direction. And you cannot find the right direction from the outside in. You have to find it from the inside out. Most people skip that part, not because that's carelessness, but because no one told them it was a step. Because the world around us is always screaming, move, move, move. They do not like to have pause. But that pause is not weakness. That pause is the part of the work. That pause is a step that every person that I've ever worked with or talked to who built something real, something that actually fit them, that step is where they started. They didn't start with the resume. They didn't start with the network, and they didn't start with the plan. They started with their voice. Your voice, the one that knows what you want before the brain has a chance to talk you out of it. The one that has been sending you signals for years that you have been too busy, too scared, or too practical to listen, right? That voice is not gone though. It's just waiting for you. Now, over the years, I started to see a pattern in every professional who successfully moved through a major transition, including myself. Not just landed somewhere, actually landed somewhere that fit. They all moved through the same 5 stages, every single one of them. And I mapped those stages. I studied them and I tested them in my conversations with real people navigating some type of career or life disruption. And I gave this framework a name, and it's the SETAR method, SETAR, silence, echo, activation, trust, release. 5 stages, not a checklist, not a linear process you tick through in order. It's a map, a way of understanding where you are and what needs to happen before the next plan can actually work. Silence is the stage where your voice goes missing. And this is not about being introverted or timid. This is about the slow accumulation of decisions made from fear rather than clarity. It happens to most accomplished people in the room, and it happened to me. Echo is a stage where the signal starts returning, where the same message keeps finding you from different people in different contexts. Most people dismiss it. The ones who move forward learn to pay attention to it. Activation is the moment, the unrehearsed or unguarded moment where you show up so fully as yourself that the room begins to change around you. You've probably had at least one. You may have talked yourself out of believing it meant something though. And trust is the decision. The moment you stop waiting for certainty and start acting on what your voice is already telling you. And finally, release is the letting go of other people's opinions, of the need for perfect conditions, of the version of yourself that was built for someone else's vision of your life. So over the next several weeks, I'm going to walk you through every single stage in depth. Slow, specific, practical enough that you can actually use it. Not just understand it, but I want you to use it, because what I want for you is this. Stop landing in roles that do not fit. Stop building plans that feel hollow the moment you start executing them, or stop outsourcing the most important professional decisions of your life to people who are not going to live with the consequences. I want you to hear yourself clearly enough to know exactly what comes next. I want you to trust yourself enough to go and get it. That is what the SETAR method is designed to do. And it starts right here and right now with me on this channel. If this resonated with you, subscribe and stay close. Every video in this series builds on the last one. You will not want to miss a stage. And if you are in the middle of a transition right now and you are ready to move through this with direct support, the link to work with me is in the description. The step that comes before the plan starts now.